Good morning, everyone. Hi, I'm Leanne, and I'm the Executive Assistant for the Specialty Coffee Association. I'd like to welcome you all to this webinar. Before we start, I'd like you all to know that this webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded to SCA News. Please submit questions using the questions panel and use the raise hands function to ask questions during the Q&A. And I'd like to introduce our hosts. It's Christina Mail from Austria. She's in a car at the moment. And she's the president of the board of directors. Colleen Anunu, who's the vice president of the board of directors. Yannis Apostolopoulos, who's the chief executive officer of the Specialty Coffee Association. So I'll hand it over to Christina. Have a good webinar.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Very, very happy to have you all here today on this webinar. Very excited also to be presenting the new board of directors for the new year here. We have a very nice slate of highly professional coffee individuals, and I'm looking forward to meeting them all today and having a chat with them today. So what we'll cover in this webinar today is the SCA's purpose. We'd like to go over that once more. Colleen will lead us through the elections process and overview. Then Yannis will take us through the SCA's 5-year plan. And then we'll get down to really meeting the new board of directors, 2021 to 22. And afterwards, as Leanne kindly said, we'll have questions and answers. You can write them in the chat and we'll be able to answer any questions that you may have. So what is the SCA's purpose? Well, it was written a few years ago, and I think it covers very nicely. We have to go to the next slide. Covers very nicely what we stand for and what the Specialty Coffee Association stands for. The purpose of the SCA is to foster global coffee communities, to support activities to make coffee a more sustainable, equitable, and thriving activity for the whole value chain. So there's a lot of words in there in supporting local communities, global communities. There's the word sustainability, very high also on our 5-year plan. Equitable, to share value, that's very clear across the entire value chain. So equitable and thriving activity across the entire value chain is of course important, that it's not only the value created in some parts of the chain, but the entire value chain. So on to Colleen. Colleen, how does it work?
Right. Hi, good morning, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. Hello from upstate New York in the United States. So the board this year was a pretty extensive process for selection. As outlined in the bylaws, we have an executive committee that's comprised of a president, a vice president, a second vice president, and each of those positions serve a 1-year successive term. And then that executive committee also consists of a treasurer that serves a 2-year term. Our board is 18 people from across the world, and it includes 2 guild directors, which also serve a 1-year term appointed by the guild, either the Barista Guild or the Roasters Guild. Additional guilds are invited to participate, but they don't have ex officio seats on the board. So all of the directors that are elected by membership serve 2-year terms, and they're able to be elected for a second 2-year term if they so choose, and if the membership elects them. So all directors will serve at least 1 2-year term and can be reselected for another 2 years, which is the case of some of the board members that are on the call today. If you want to ever look at these bylaws, if you've got time to kill, you could find them at sca.coffee/bylaws. If you ever need help reading any of these bylaws, we're always available to talk through them with you. Next. All right, so for 2020, this is our 3rd election of the combined association as SCA. This year we had 8 available seats, which is pretty significant on an 18-person board. That's pretty high. And so the nominating committee, which consisted of the executive committee of the president, vice president, second vice president, and treasurer, as well as Giannis as the executive director, and two former presidents of the board, Heather Perry and Paul Stack. We met as a nominating committee, which is outlined in the bylaws how that works. We put forward, an open process for any of our members to put themselves forward or to put others forward to run for the board. We had over 50 interviews from across the world, I think in over 25 countries, of people that were interested in joining the board. In the end, the board voted on a slate of 8 candidates. So according to our bylaws, we are mandated to propose the amount of candidates that for the seats that are available. So we proposed a slate to the membership of 8 candidates. And that slate was comprised of, the very well-qualified people that you see on the screen today that represent a lot of different diversity across personal demographics and geography and skill sets and parts of the industry as well. So from there, the board elected the 8 candidates for the slate. And now I'm going to turn it over to Giannis, who's going to talk a little bit about the 5-year strategic plan for the SCA.
So thank you, Colleen. It's really nice to see that we have the new board directors coming in. I want to thank everybody for volunteering lots and lots of their time to help us get there. I want to give a bit of context of where do we imagine SCA to be by 2025. The board of directors and 4 of them that they are rejoining our board today have done a lot of work to figure out how SCA can move things and make an impact in the specialty coffee industry over the next years. So we start imagining SCA, what SCA will do in the next 5 years, and I want to talk a bit about that. First of all, I want to give you what was the fundamental philosophy of the decisions that we've made. And the fundamental philosophy, it's like a prism. So no matter how you put it on towards the sun, you always get the same result, or towards the light. And every side of this prism is equally important. And at the heart of this prism is the purpose that Christina presented before. So for us, we want to create value for all value chain participants. That is one of the things that we keep always in mind when we're making decisions, especially about our 5-year plan. We want to foster our network, which is one of the most important things within SCA. And we also think about the financial viability of the SCA. And that's the fundamental philosophy of our decision making. As we moved forward into creating the strategic objectives of the plan, we have identified 4 major strategic objectives. So the first one talks about a sustainable specialty coffee agenda. The SCA has committed to driving a sustainable specialty coffee agenda as one of our strategic objectives for 2025. In order for the association to realize our purpose, to reiterate that is that specialty coffee should be a thriving, equitable, and sustainable activity for the entire value chain. Sustainability cannot remain a peripheral consideration in the pursuit of cup quality. So the obstacles facing specialty coffee in the near and long-term future are too large, and I would say too urgent for our global community and the companies, individuals that compromise it for not to adapt and change behaviors. So we at the SCA, we believe that specialty coffee must challenge mindsets, including those of industry leaders, and redetermine how value is created, measured, and distributed in the coffee value chains. So for the next 5 years, our activities and priorities will reflect that belief. Then we want to expand the global network and enhance the experience by utilizing local communities. I think coming out of the merger between SCAA and SCAE, we've realized that there is a lot of value on the local communities around the world, and we need to be able to address that, to address the uniqueness of each community. But we can also, by providing a great experience, utilize on that to expand our global network. Finally, we know that SCA has been a place that creates opportunity for professional engagement and individual growth through education, through research, and through the activities that we're doing. So this is something that we are going to focus. And finally, we have realized that there are a lot of gaps on how we provide services to the community, and we want to make sure that we provide, I would say, an outstanding service delivery. It's going to be a long way there, but we have already undertaken like a serious journey for a digital transformation to enhance those experiences. So that will be our strategic objectives over the next 5 years. And I think I will switch back to Colleen to make the introductions.
Awesome, thank you, Yannis. So for at least next year, we have the 2021 through 2022 Board of Directors. It consists of myself moving from the Vice President role into the President role, Juan Luis Barrios, who will be moving from the second Vice President role into the Vice President role, and Konstantinos Konstantinopoulos, who will be joining the Executive Committee as second Vice President, and Burak Alici, who will be joining as Treasurer for the next 2 years. We also have Serena, Doreen, David, and Cosimo, who are board members at large. They will be serving through the end of 2022 when their first term is up. And so the new board of directors that we will be interviewing today, or at least maybe it's not a full interview, but it's just, one question, getting to know them. It's more of a get to know ya session. We have Joanna Alm, Pamela Chang, Beraspin La Rafael, Garfield Kerr, Mbula Masao, Gloria Pedrosa, Jörg Peter Schwartz, I think I did that right, and Asli Yaman. And so we'll be having them introduce themselves, where they're from, and ask them one question. So please, let's start with Gloria. If you could please introduce yourself, and then I'll choose at random who should go next.
Okay, well, thank you. Good day, everyone. My name is, Gloria Pedrosa, and I come originally from Guatemala. I was born, and like 15 years ago, more or less, I moved to Switzerland. But I have worked, my whole professional life, I have worked in coffee. So I started working in an export company in Guatemala. And well, there I got familiar, or I discovered my sensory abilities in coffee, and I just decided to continue explore that area in the coffee industry. And well, that opened me the doors to work in different fields in the coffee industry, and also to cooperate with different organizations. I had the chance to join, or to be able to volunteer with the SCA, back then the SCAE chapter here in Switzerland, and that was back in 2006 when I was a contestant. So I got in a cup tasting competition, so automatically I got involved with the SCAE, and due to that competition, well, I automatically kind of became an ambassador of SCAE, and I have been linked to the organization since then, and I have helped collaborated in the development of the education program, contributing in some of the modules to develop the content of some of the modules, green coffee, sensory. And from that point onwards, I continued my development also as instructor for Q Arabic and Q Robusta instructor. And I got also involved as a board member for CQI. And well, I work in an international environment, so I have the possibility to interact with different cultures, and have been able to work also in different places, and that like helped me to understand the coffee business from different perspectives, like from the producer side, farming, also the processing part, and also on the other end, importing and roasting. And I'm really glad to now get the opportunity to contribute here in this organization with this wonderful team.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to move to Joanna.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm extraordinarily happy to be here. I am Joanna Alm. I have a Scandinavian accent, you may hear. I'm phoning in from Stockholm, Sweden, where I have my business called Drop Coffee that I've been running for 10 years now. It's a small but yet international company. So we have many customers globally, but also I am the green coffee buyer and go and visit all of the producers that we're working with. And I think my first contact with SCA was through a competition. I competed in 2007 or something, like around your time, Gloria. So, and since then, I mean, it's just been sending so many baristas to competitions, so many courses, yeah, education. I joined judging as well, and I competed in the World Cup Roasting Championships 4 times. Yeah, and I was a part of the group that set up the Coffee Roasters Guild of Europe. And I was also, when we were doing the unification with US, I was a part of the unification committee. And that was so meaningful, and I learned so much about the organization through that, and about compromising and holding on to the core. So thanks from my work with CRG, but also with the Sustainability Advisory Council, led by Kim Elena, I think I have like good understanding and insight around SCA. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Well, welcome. All right, let's go to someone that is starting their second term. Let's move to Pamela.
Hi, good morning, afternoon. It's 11 p.m. here, so good evening to me and this part of the world. Hi, my name is Pamela, and I'm in Singapore right now. So I'm very happy to be here back on my second term in what was a very interesting first term the past 2 years. I've been in coffee for almost 10 years now as an educator, roaster. I'm the co-founder of the Better Group, a social business in Singapore, where we really try and use coffee as our vehicle to change lives. You know, and we were the first organization in Southeast Asia back in 2012 to offer both SCA and SCA education. So it's been very interesting kind of watching the global organization come together and deliver education globally for the world. So I've been involved in competitions, you know, as well since 2012, first as a competitor, then as a judge. So since we judge the worlds for barista and coffee and good spirits. Yeah, just, you know, been very happy to be able to contribute the past 2 years on the board in education and sustainability, in equity, diversity, and inclusion matters. So I hope to be able to continue in that field in the next 2 years with, you know, obviously a wonderful new board of directors. So thanks.
Thanks, Pam.
Thanks.
All right, let's move on. Let's do 2 new and 2 recurring. So let's move to Mbula.
Hi, everybody. My name is Bula. I am from Kenya. I'm the Chief Empowerment Officer for Utake Coffee Limited. I like to use the word empowerment because it reminds me of where I came from in terms of coffee knowledge and where I would want to see young people and the origin in general kind of working with me and everyone else aspiring to get better and to understand the sector. So it's empowerment, and that's my focus. That's my forte as well. I currently serve on the SCA board. I've served there for 2 years. It's been an amazing experience, very interesting lessons, and it's really like brought together everything I knew about specialty coffee, and having me deal with it directly and deal with coffee stakeholders from around the world on a one-on-one. I've been in coffee for around 20 years. I started out when I was a teenager in a company based in Kenya. It had directorship that was mixed Kenyan and American, and that's when I actually got to know about SCA through my very first company at a very young age. And it looked like a pipe dream to me because it was just so far away, and in those years there was no internet connectivity and not much in terms of the ability to connect with people from around the world unless you traveled all the way. But thankfully, courses were happening in the region through USAID granted programs, and the Coffee Quality Institute was actually kind of the institute that introduced SCA into the region through the courses, cupping courses, and later on Q grader courses. So the process of this obviously got us to learn about the SCA protocol and delve a little bit deeper in understanding what it was and get to know what an amazing association it was and all the work it was doing globally. So later on, I joined the African Fine Coffees Association. It's a regional association for coffee producing and one consuming country in Africa. And through this, the knowledge of SCA grew. SCA and AFCA are good friends. They work together in many different areas and projects and programs. And through this association, barista championships were also kind of taking some kind of traction in Africa, and they were quite interesting for us. So I got involved in that, in establishing some national championships for the region. I rather got into the World Coffee event judging and just trying to level up with what was happening around the world in specialty coffee. About 4 years ago, I decided to kind of look at what the gaps were in specialty coffee in the region, and what I saw was education was a big gap. So I started my SCA lab, SCA certified lab, Utake Coffee, to give me an opportunity to, as I said earlier, empower and make a contribution on the education scene, because I was already doing it as a consultant and really wanted to bring it home and give access to as many people as would be interested in taking the courses. And I got to know much more about SCAs, and actually that's when I became a member, because I needed to establish based on all the requirements, and it made a lot of sense to be an SCA member then, obviously because of all the discounts and just the connections, the partnerships that allow you to be able to set up such a facility when it's the first time in the region. So that really got me working very closely with SCA in addition to the volunteer positions. And then I went on to do AST, basically the courses, the coffee skills program to become an AST. Then I joined the board 2 years ago. I enjoy delivering education at origin for all the reasons I've mentioned, and also serve in the education committee on the board. and Equity, Diversity and Inclusion Committee as well. So thank you for having me, and good to see everyone here.
Thanks, Mbula. All right, so someone who is on the call but not on the screen is Garfield Kerr. Garfield, could you introduce yourself?
Hey there, I'm Garfield Kerr. I'm from Jamaica. I'm a lawyer by training and transitioned into finance, and did a few private equity deals, one of which brought me into coffee. And I am the CEO of Mocha 1450, which is a coffee boutique here in the UAE with sort of a global reach because we have clients around the world. And we are founded on a strong corporate social responsibility platform wherein we focus on sourcing coffee primarily from women-owned and operated cooperatives. And that's part of the experience that I hope to bring to the board as well as a new member. I've done a number of projects with the SCA. I'm both as a member of the UAE chapter and for various committees and ad hoc committees of the board. And I'm very much looking forward to being on the board with the impressive slate of board members and under Joanna's leadership. So congratulations to all the new members, and thank you very much.
All right, Jörg.
Yes, hello from my side. My name is Jörg, and yeah, I'm probably the newest kid on the block in coffee because I've been joining the coffee industry only like 4 years ago. I'm German, but I'm working in Switzerland because I'm actually have the honor to be the CEO of SCA, a company that manufactures professional coffee machines, super automatics, but also a company, and that's probably my link to the SCA, that since 20 years, or well, makes coffee machines since almost 100 years now, and since 20 years has an own coffee competence center and really has coffee quality in the DNA. So a lot of my former and current employees have been strongly involved in the SCA in the Swiss chapter, but also internationally. And so it's an honor for me that I can live on this DNA and join this board. And I think I hope that I can bring something to the table from the whole coffee machine manufacturer side, focusing on the targets that the SCAE has. Before joining coffee, I'm an industry guy. I've been 10 years in chemicals, 8 years in cosmetics. So I certainly know a little bit about the corporate world, and one of the next term's targets is actually at the core of my thinking too, which is sustainability. And I think there's a lot of things we can do and move on. Yeah, I think that's it already.
Great. Maybe you can dig into that with the next question. All right, Asli.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Hi, everybody. It's amazing to be here again, once again. I'm Aslan from Turkey, and this is my second term at the board. And like my other friends said the same, I would like to just include that it's amazing to be here. And I am so happy to see our new board members. Congratulations once more. And I think it will be another nice and exciting 2 years together. I started my coffee business, coffee career almost 15 years ago in Istanbul, and then I moved to Russia. I worked there almost 5 years, and during this time, of course, I met with amazing coffee people, especially from the specialty coffee world, and this is how I met with SCA that time. but then after that SCA. And now I have a company called Kimma Coffee Roasters. It's a roastery based in Istanbul, and this is a for women actually entrepreneur company. We are focusing mostly on the women coffee suppliers from different regions of the world, and I'm also going to these different origins to give SCA trainings. Especially this has been a wonderful project since last 3-4 years, I can say, and I have visited mostly African countries. And I'm also Q grader, and I did my last Q calibration together with Gloria, so it was another nice experience. And so it's really nice to be here again, and I hope we will have more time to interact each other during this time. And so thank you so much again.
Thank you, Asli. Okay, last but not least is Vera.
Hi, everyone. And on those words from Ashley, also congratulations to everyone here on the slate. It will be a huge pleasure to work with you guys for the next 2 years. So my name is Beraspin La Rafael. I'm Mexican Dutch. The Dutch side, you need to invite me for a drink to share that story. But I live here in Mexico. I've been working in coffee for the last 15 years, but a bit of a different angle from what you have heard from the others. I started to work for Ana Café for the research arm, specifically looking at a supply chain. I was then a development economics study. I graduated with that thesis, and I fell in love with coffee. I completely was so intrigued by the stories of the producers, by understanding the supply chain. So I continued to work then on that angle, but more on the sustainable coffee practices side. With UTS at that time, which was a very small organization at that time. But I grew with them and had this huge opportunity to continue to understand the coffee communities in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. But of course, Latin America won my heart. So I moved to Costa Rica for UTS and continued to working from there, was responsible for the region, to set up the development of the courses we had there with technical assistants, with producers. And then I basically decided to focus much more on my country, which is Mexico, and moved there and started to work for the government. Yes, the government, which is a big institution, but they had this huge opportunity for me to work on the National Coffee Plan. And I worked there for 3 years, looking at sustainable practices with the program in itself to see how can we set up certain project elements with partners, but with all the technical assistance in the country as well. And then I continued to work as a consultant for different organizations, but primarily focused on the coffee side as well, but also other crops. And recently this year I started to work for Azar Coffee Company, which is a specialty coffee exporter in Colombia based, but they're looking to expand their operations in Mexico as well. And I'm leading their strategic initiatives. So that is a bit of me. Back to you, Colleen.
Great. Well, I'm going to kick it back to you, Vera, for the next question. So we only have one question for all of the panelists, but it's a very important one. What will you bring to the board, and how will you utilize your service for the community? So I'll start with Vera, and Vera, when you're done, you get to choose the next person.
Oh, yay, great.
And don't forget, Garfield is on the call.
Yeah, of course. I think what I've enjoyed so far working with the Specialty Coffee Association, I worked with the Sustainability Council as a volunteer, and from there to understand the organization was for me a great experience, and also how you can elevate the work of the SCA to the community itself. And for me, the last years has been also, to really link and translate the needs of the community that particularly I am in, which is more Mexico all the way down, since my history working in these countries, and also the network that I still have and still continue to work with them, and see what can connect and how we can collaborate with the SCA in terms of education, in terms of information and research, because still, although many think that a lot is available in Spanish, still there's not that much information sometimes in Spanish available. And I think that we can still do much more on that angle to also make sure that certain events, for example, are organized in our language. And I also not only look into what can we do for them, but I'm also really looking into how can our audience, our community, understand better what the agenda is of what the SCA is and does. Because many times they only think that it covers only a certain part of the work, but there's so much more of the organizations where the community can understand better what it does, but it can also support and be a volunteer for certain activities in itself. And but one thing that I definitely love to do and look forward to continue doing is to, within all these opportunities that the SCA creates and also what we can create together with the community, is to continue to give the voice to others that normally are noticed, but have these unique perspective on coffee topics, and that can be very productive for the conversations that we have at the SCA. I really love to do that and continue to work and connect these people and these efforts together. So okay, let me see, who should I pass the ball to? I think I will go for a new person, so to make it more about the let me see, I want to start learning to pronounce the name Jörg Schwartze, so I'm going to go for that one.
Very well done, Vera. Yeah, thank you very much. So, yeah, what will I try to bring to the table? Certainly, as I said, I'm heading a coffee machine manufacturer. So certainly, this is where I come from, and this is what I want to foster. We have a role to play in the whole value chain, especially also in terms of bringing quality to the end consumer, because it's we can ruin the whole coffee if we want, but we don't want to. And so this is, of course, I'm here for Shara, but as some of you may know, I'm also representing our whole business unit, which also represents two more manufacturers, which is WMF from Germany and Curtis from the United States. So I think, and I'm also quite well connected to all my colleagues, so competitors. So I think we can really connect even better, mainly, of course, to the Technicians Guild, and Sarah has been involved a lot in the education. I think we can do even more, especially with all the partners, distribution partners and service technicians all around the world, to ensure that we really get the coffee into the cup at the best possible quality. Of course, we having an international business. So, I mean, Shara basically at the moment sells really one third in all the regions. We have a lot of links to coffee chains and outlets, so that we can actually bring it really to the end consumer. Another topic, as I said, is sustainability. And sustainability has a lot of topics and a lot of aspects. And I think we can link this, because the SCA is great, it's global and it's end-to-end, so we can link a lot of things together, combining it also with technology to not only foster the sustainability and sustainable practices, but also make it transparent to all the consumers around the world. Just to give you a little example, I mean, Shara has been highly successful with machines in convenience stores in the US, and our customers save as much as 15% of the coffee on food waste, which is a lot of sustainability. And last but not least, I think, of course, being based in Switzerland, belonging to a German parent company, I certainly will try to strengthen the DACH region, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, in the SCA community, and try to push all my competitor colleagues to engage more. So I'll hand it on. I'll choose Joanna.
Yes. No, it's many big challenges we are ahead of, and I'm only happy to try to be a part of that solution, of course. I am very lucky that I was a part of the unification committee and the merge of the two previous roaster skills, and learned a lot through that. And I also think it's I don't know if it's only me, but I really feel that we are through, we still have a lot of challenges from that we're meeting every day, and being a global board is a massive challenge. And how do you make sure as many people as possible is represented, and in terms of power structures and who's being listened to more and all of that. So it's really interesting, but at least I think that we have taken the big steps a year or 2 years back, and we can now together, when we need to hold hands more than ever, we can focus on that and what we are having ahead of us. So I guess I am I think I'm going to bring business perspective from running my own business, but also my business is building on sustainability, in particular when it comes to working conditions and the ongoing coffee price crisis. And I do not think that one need to, take out the other. We need to do both at this moment. We sit here in terms of a massive pandemic, and to be a part of the solution that SCA has for during the pandemic and post-pandemic, and with so many of our members are going to be in really tough economical positions at the same time as we have the Black Lives Matter movement, and we're in many challenges at once, and I think those combined really can do a lot, that we can act in crisis. And of course, I am very can you say you're interested in sustainability? I'm not sure, but that's been very much of my focus the last 8 years at least. That's been on the top of my agenda, combined with running a business and try to be profitable. So somewhere there, I hope I can bring value with a mixture of the two. So I was a part of I was the chair of the sustainability committee in CRG, and I'm still a part of that committee. So yeah, thank you.
Cool. Are you going to pass it to?
Oh yeah, I would like to pass it to Gloria.
Thank you, Joanna. Well, I just would like to say that like a credit recognition to the association for what the good job that the association has done in its history, and then because it has overall pushed the development and progress in the industry in different areas, and also provides opportunities for like the individual professional development in different areas in the coffee industry. So from my experience, how can I contribute to the board of the SCA? Well, my strength relies on the education part and all the judging scene, the competition scene, and from that perspective, we are now really facing a very challenging time, because I think that those two areas have been very important pillars of the organization, and they have been affected greatly this year, yeah, because events cancelled, championships cancelled, and all the courses, almost no courses have been taught, and I would like to contribute a lot in that area, because it has affected me personally also as a trainer, because I have not been able to teach as many courses as I was used to, and that affected many other people in the industry as well. So, and we have a very good education system that has contributed a lot in the industry, not only to the development of the individuals, professional development of the individuals, but in general, we have set standards and created like good training content in different areas for the industry. So I would like to, let's say, contribute, help, like to develop, create a strategy to face the challenges we are going to have right now after COVID time, because it's an uncertain time, and we cannot, we have to keep on going, and I think education is an essential part of our industry, and we have just to work on a strategy to continue providing that kind of service. Okay, on the other hand, since I have had the chance to work in a multicultural atmosphere and have had the chance to also be working in producing and importing countries, mainly like in Europe, and also I would like to be able to represent like the interests of these groups here on a global stage, since now a big global organization covers the globe. So I think that we need to the needs and the interests of the different areas and countries can be represented here through our voices. Besides that, I think something like that can be, let's say, improved or strengthened. The SCA has offered always a platform for exchange, and also has offered like a platform for like community life. And I think that as the organization has grown, that has been affected also a little bit. And I think it is like important to strengthen that part within the organization, and also like to provide more support to the different, let's say, smaller working groups or the national chapters that since I have been working, at least, let's say, as an example, in competitions, I have collaborated with many national chapters, and they have a lot of problems, a lot of challenges in when organizing events, when running different events, and they probably need a little bit more support on that. And I think that is also an area that we can improve or strengthen.
Cool. I'm going to stop you there, Gloria, because it sounds like you are you have a lot of ideas. I would love to kick it off because we do have to end at the top of the hour. So we have 4 people left to answer the question. So if you can just briefly tell us in 3 minutes or less your answer to the question, that would be great. So Gloria, if you can kick it off to somebody else.
To Pamela.
Thanks, Gloria. Okay, I'll keep it nice and short. All right. So I think you know, as a social entrepreneur, I really believe in the coffee industry being a great industry to create positive social change, right? And I think especially in a difficult time like this, we really need to look at how to harness our community of really passionate, socially aware coffee people, right? And really address some of the problems that we face as an industry all across the value chain. So, you know, I think I can contribute important perspectives as a woman, as a social entrepreneur, a business owner, and also coming from Singapore in Asia, right? We do a lot of our work with students and communities in Asia, and I think able to contribute important perspectives from this part of the world, right? Which is really one of the fastest growing regions in specialty coffee. You know, and kind of being able to forge collaborative solutions globally, learning best practices from each other so we can really address our sustainability and production challenges moving forward. So yeah, I just, you know, I think just continue to be able to, I think, put that global, you know, objective voice on the table as a contribution. Thank you. Okay, who shall we go with? Let's go with the man that we can't see, Garfield.
Hi there. With respect to what I'll bring to the board, a lot of experience with boards, done a lot of work with boards of directors as a transactional attorney on Wall Street, and also the legal perspective I think is important because that's something most boards will have, either in the C-suite from the COO or on the board itself. Will have someone with a legal background as well. So in addition to that, the items that I'm passionate about are actually the farmers, and that ties in a little bit with several of the topics Giannis mentioned in the 5-year plan. Integrating the farmers into the SCA more closely is a passion project for me because I believe there's no SCA without the farmers. And now they are sort of integrated, but not really. A lot of coffee comes from farms and farmers that win championships, and the farmers have no idea. They have no idea who the SCA is. And I think that will help with sustainability if they can actually know their importance to the SCA and value of the product they're producing. And that's it for me. Thank you.
All right, Garfield, you have 2 choices. You have Mbula and Ashley.
Let's go with Mbula because she's a good friend of Sion and I've never met her.
Ashley, you get to wrap it up.
Okay, thank you. What should I bring to the SCA board? First of all, I just want to commend the association for the real steps to be more inclusive and diverse, and for extending this actually to this term. So it gives us as an association a chance to tap into the benefits of continuity, which is one of the things I would want to bring in. I want to continue empowering, to be a voice of coffee origin, represent our real essence, authenticity, and potential as an African origin by being a link between those I represent and the global association. I believe that the core of this sector is producers, and if we didn't have them, we would not really have coffee as we know it. So as Garfield said, it's really important to have them represented on this global association, not only for them to interact with the chain at coffee events and fairs, but also to weigh in on decisions that constantly affect them and their families. And one of those ways, obviously, is getting them the chance to know they can access markets closer to their reach than it ever was before. Then there's education and empowerment, which comes in many forms, shapes, and sizes. As Pamela said, this is a critical time to ensure that this continuity happens, and we bring our heads together as education committee and with all the other new members to see ways of continuing to impact young people and aspiring coffee professionals through this. Through my lab, which hosts hundreds of existing and potential coffee stakeholders annually, especially the youth on their journey to becoming coffee professionals, this is an opportunity I don't take for granted. I would want to bring them into the SCA fold through that platform and in the sector as a whole. My involvement in competitions and judging as well to strengthen and grow this part of competitions for the world and to groom youth into meaningful coffee careers in the region. So how we reach out effectively to truly claim to be equitable, inclusive, and diverse is one of the reasons I believe that I am here. And I believe this can be done in a very harmonious partnership in order to spread the benefits to stakeholders. So I think the more we do with the community, the more we warm up to it and be able to enable meaningful partnerships. So bringing in this kind of harmony while at the same time making an impact and getting the association known and felt would be a big priority for me. So thanks. I would want then to bring up Ashley to speak.
Okay, so I'm the last, but I hope not the least, so I will be very short. So additional to all of these ideas, so I'm roaster, I'm green coffee buyer, and I'm trainer. So I carry many, coffee career and characters. So what I have learned so far, especially last 2 years at serving at the SCA board, I wanted to bring this experience also to the local communities, and I decided to participate at SCA Turkey elections. And thanks to the members that they have chosen me as the national coordinator. And now I want to make this bridge together with SCA board again, and I want to build up more stronger communities. I want to continue to this. This is why I am at SCA family. So this is the main reason why I am here today as well. And I believe what I have experienced so far brought me here together with all of you and all these great people. So I hope I will continue to be the voice of communities and in terms of every platforms that I represent. So thank you.
Thank you. You have a very busy year ahead of you, I think. All right. Well, we were very ambitious. Introducing and offering a platform for 8 folks in an hour is really challenging. So we wanted to have questions from the attendees for the board. It looks like we do have 2 minutes left. So Giannis, can we ask one?
If we have one.
Okay. If we have one, let's go for one. We might get cut off because this line is about to be used by the Coffee Technicians Guild. If you have any questions that you're not able to ask today, please email us at sca.board@sca.coffee or use any of these additional email addresses to ask them. But it looks like there are no questions.
So I would like to thank all of you so much for taking the time to be with us today, and looking forward to working with all of you, and hopefully seeing you sometimes in the near future in person. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, Pam.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
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 Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye. Nice weekend.